Joel, from an outsider's point of view, before you ask me, I want to ask you, looking at everything that's happened at Newcastle, the departures from the playing side, Eddie Howe's gone and been replaced by Matthias Jaissler. Do you have some sympathy for the Newcastle fans from the outside?
I'm worried. I really am. I'm looking at the setup and I'm thinking, what's going to happen? That's not even including if you get hit with injuries, which all teams do. You know, I'm looking at your forward positioning. I think Asula's a good player. I think the fact that you started relying on him a lot is going to be really good. I was saying last week, I didn't know that he was in the Manchester United Academy when he was younger.
That's right.
I didn't know that.
Well, that came to the fore after he scored that brilliant winner against Manchester United in the last minute at St James's Park, and then the following day, sort of photos emerging of him in a Manchester United kit. I actually sent one to Gary Pallister because there was a picture of Gary Pallister awarding Asula as the player of the course or something. Really? And I sent it to Pally, and he replied saying, "Yeah, another one who slipped through the net." But no, Asula's very raw. He's very raw. And it probably says more about Nick Voltemade and Johan Wisser that they were relying on Asula last season. You said yourself you spoke to Wisser on your own podcast not so long ago. Yeah. Had a decent World Cup for Congo. I know you've got some Congolese heritage as well yourself.
Fully, yeah.
And that's so. How impressed were you with him in the World Cup?
I think in the World Cup, he was fantastic. And I was very happy with him on a personal level because, again, I sat down with him in, May, talking about Newcastle, talking about World Cup stuff with the Congo. Yeah. And it was very obvious. When it comes to the Congo, full of confidence, he was the man. He knows he's the man. He knows he's the main figure, etc. But then when it came to Newcastle, you could tell that there was still a little bit missing. He wanted to show the fans that he still got a lot to offer. He talked a lot about the injury, kept mentioning that he's a fighter and he wants to make things right. So he wasn't delusional to the season he was having. I think now the question is he going to be able to prove himself to Jaissler?
I think that's key. And Wisser scored a couple of goals the other night against Valencia. He came off the bench and scored twice. But then he missed a good opportunity against Everton. You mentioned it, the game against Arsenal. Wisser had a great opportunity late on to nick some points there, but he missed. He fluffed his lines. And that happened too many times last season, but he'd had no pre-season. Yeah. He had a bad injury playing for Congo, and he never got back. Yeah. So I think it's a big season for him, big season for Elanga. But I just feel Matthias Jaissler's taken this job on. He's yet to make a signing as Newcastle manager. They have signed a handful of players. But clearly, with the big money departures, you would think there'd be some money to spend there, and Jaissler would be able to spend it because Alexander Isak's gone out. 125 million last summer to Liverpool. Tonali's followed him. That's basically 100 million to Tottenham. Yeah. Bruno to your team, 75 million to Arsenal. Yeah. Gordon's gone to Barcelona, just shy of 70 million plus add-ons. But then there's been other departures as well. Longstaff to Leeds was 15 million. Lloyd Kelly, they got 15 million from Juventus for him. So there has been a churn of players going out. Alan Saint-Maximin brought a fee in as well. So there has been a churn of players going out, but the money that's been spent, certainly last summer, with Voltemade, with Wisser, with Elanga, it didn't pay off. They brought in a lot of young players this summer, but you just feel like they need a bit of experience, and I feel like they need a statement signing before the window shuts.
They need centre midfielders. That's what they need more than anything. I'm so worried for them when I look. Yes, I've been teasing you about them, but I love Newcastle as a city because every time I go there, I look at it and I go, wow, you guys are about your football. And the age range, you've got young kids swarming to go to the games. Yeah. Like I've never seen anything like it in my life. You go to St James's Park and that stadium is built for Champions League football. I've been there. I've seen you guys play Champions League just for the fun of it. I've travelled to Newcastle to watch. I remember the last game was Newcastle versus AC Milan. And you just think, wow, what a club. And I just don't understand what it is. I think since this change of ownerships, it's just been very up and down.
Financial rules are the issue, Joel. I think that's been Newcastle's biggest problem since the start, and it's not just Newcastle. It's Aston Villa. You got to throw Sunderland in as well as they're another massive team up in the northeast, brilliantly supported, big stadium, had a fantastic season last season.
They beat you twice for the first time.
Beat Newcastle twice. Finishing 7th, getting Europa League football, qualifying for Europe, they deserve a mention. They absolutely had a brilliant season, and they've got a brilliant manager in Regis Lebris for me. And second season for them will be the tough one because all of a sudden teams are going to take them very, very seriously this year, and they've got to cope with European football. And I think they're facing their own problems in the transfer market due to the financial rules. But Newcastle need players through the door. We understand that Amar Dedic is close. Personal terms agreed with the 23-year-old fullback, but he started for Benfica tonight.
Yeah, does that worry you by any chance? Because normally when you know someone's really close to signing for your club, the other club don't even want to play him. They don't want to risk injury.
Absolutely. It makes you think, we're being told everywhere, and our transfer team saying it's close, but it can't be that close if he's playing right now against Hearts.
Yeah.
And it's a game, by the way.
Yeah.
Benfica was 6-1 up on aggregate.
Do you know
why would you play him?
Crazy. Do you know much about him? I'm not saying that you're there watching your Portuguese football, but
I watch a lot of football, a lot of European football, mate. But like always, as soon as your team gets linked with a player, you do a little bit more digging, and it doesn't take long before the YouTube video
highlight reels start
flying around. So you have a look at that. But no, look, I mean, for me, he's a right back.
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle have got Tino Livramento there, who would be the first choice right back, but he's had his injury problems. Lewis Miley's played there. When Miley plays there, Lewis Miley can play anywhere. He's unbelievable player. You talk about midfield. It's a big season for Lewis Miley. Whether he's playing in midfield or whether Geisler decides to start him at right back, it's a huge season for him. His younger brother Mason Miley, by the way, has been involved in pre-season as well. I hear great things about him. The whole Miley family. There's
I can't believe this. You said they were all a footballing family. I didn't know that.
All good footballers, quite incredible. And I've seen Mason play a couple of times for the youth team.
Mm-hmm.
He's been involved this season. A very exciting future for him. And there's a younger one coming as well. But the Miley family, very talented family. But Lewis Miley, who's of course he's played for Newcastle a number of games now, big season for him. But I just feel like they need some experience in there, because the players that they have signed in, the likes of Sam Sturr, who's a top young player from Ajax, is 18, I think. Bamba's come in, he's a centre midfielder, I think he's 20. They've got Torre, who's a winger, he's 20 or maybe 21 as well. All of the players that they're bringing in are 18, 19, 20. So I think that they need to try and find experience, because when you're losing players, experienced international players like Sandro Tonali, Italy international, Bruno Guimaraes, Brazil international, Anthony Gordon, England international, you've got to somehow try and find a way to replace that. And I just hope that Geisler's given the sort of backing to do that. Otherwise, I think it'll be a tough season for Newcastle. I know before us, Jamie O'Hara and Darren Bent saying that they don't worry about Newcastle being involved in the relegation scrap, but there's every chance. If the first two games for Newcastle, Liverpool at home, Tottenham away are the first two. So you've got Isak at St James's Park on week 1. You then travel to play against Sandro Tonali and Spurs on week 2.
Yeah.
The results in those two games could be massive, because if you have
6 points at the end of the season that you wish you had.
This, you know what? And I think the results and the performances matter more than the result. The performances matter more than the results, should I say? Because I think if those two games, if Liverpool are going to come to St James's Park, it's going to be a hugely emotional game. It's the first game since Kevin Keegan's passing. Keegan was a legend for both Liverpool and Newcastle. There's going to be lots of tributes to Kevin Keegan on the day. His family are going to be at the game. It's going to be an emotional day for the Newcastle supporters. The team have to try and find a performance on the day to satisfy those supporters who are going to be very emotional.
My question for you, quickly, Geisler, the new manager.
Yeah.
Are you confident in him? I mean, I've heard a few good things, good potential stuff, but I'll be lying if I said that I was really watching my was it Saudi League?
Al Ahly,
that, I'll be lying if I was to say that I've been watching my Saudi League football, pro football. So what's your thoughts on him so far?
So firstly, I was of the section of supporters that was very disappointed to see Eddie Howe leave. I understand Eddie's reasoning for it, and I think, look, the supporters by the end were split. There was a lot of fans that were ready for a fresh start, something new, and I've got every respect for those supporters in their own point of view. I felt like Eddie was the right man who could have turned it around. That was my personal opinion. I think fans were very much split with regards to that, but clearly there'd been a poor start at pre-season. They'd drawn against Gateshead, they lost against Bristol City, and in the wake of that, Eddie Howe's decided that his time's come to an end. I don't think it probably helped Eddie that he's seen the likes of Tonali and Gordon and Bruno disappearing from the club that he's built up from the scratch, basically. When I heard it was Matthias Geisler, I was aware of sort of what he'd achieved at Salzburg and then at Al Ahly. He wouldn't have been my immediate choice. I probably would have thought they probably needs a safe pair of hands, someone with Premier League experience. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what? Why not? Why not? Give it a go. Give it a go. There's a certain excitement. Same with the players that they brought in, the young players. They brought in a young manager. It's fresh. I just feel like it's going to go one of two ways.
I was going to say.
It's either going to be an absolute masterstroke from the board, or it's going to be a disaster. And I just think there's going to have to be a bit of patience.
You don't have patience, mate. Like, I don't think you can sit there and go, I'll give him time. I think if it doesn't work for him, he's a manager with no real skin in the Premier League. No skin in the Premier League, like you've just said. He's going to be out there really quickly. You've got
to leave it. You've got to try and give it until you've got to give it a few months. You've got to give it a bit of time to see, because he said last night after the defeat against Everton in pre-season, he said that the players aren't ready. They're not where he needs them to be, and I think that's tough because time's running out.
I was going to say it's the Premier League, mate.
Well, less than 2 weeks away from the opening game.
That's not what you want to be hearing if you're a Newcastle fan. If I'm a Newcastle fan, I'm going, players are not ready. Well, of course they're not ready. We ain't even got enough players. So I don't know. The more that I'm speaking with you and I'm listening to what you're saying, he could be gone by November.
When you're looking at the league, and this time of the season, everyone's making predictions, and you're looking at, we've talked at you've already said your team Arsenal are going to win the league by April. But when you look at the bottom end, regularly we see the three teams that come up go straight back down. Yeah. We've seen it 3 out of the last 4 seasons. Last season, Leeds United and Sunderland bucked the trend, and they were able to stay in the Premier League, and well done to them. Do you see this season returning to the 3 clubs that are coming up, going back down again, or do you think that a couple of teams could get dragged into it?
I think a couple of teams could definitely get dragged into it. I think, do I think Newcastle are going to get relegated? No, I do think you'll have enough to withstand that. But, if Palace don't sort things out, Palace is supposed to be my local club. If they don't sort things out, they could be in a little bit of trouble themselves. You look at teams. Wow. Yeah, I mean, you look at teams like, I'd say Everton, selling a few of their top players. Just don't really know what's going to happen there. It's not as clear. I mean, I do think those teams coming up from the Championship, they are going to struggle.
Hull, Ipswich, Coventry.
Yeah.
And Coventry and Ipswich have spent quite a bit of money as well.
And you know what? I feel like with Frank Lampard's experience as well, I think that counts for a lot in the Premier League. Different teams, of course, before he was managing Chelsea, of course, and Everton. But I look and I go, I think Crystal Palace could be in trouble.
Okay, called it here, Crystal Palace, right? Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, they had a fantastic season last season. They've had a fantastic few years, haven't they? But it's certainly a time of transition for Crystal Palace.
Exactly.